And we can now say good morning to a man who's embarked on the 5th decade of his life and put aside childish things, well, not all of them, I hope. Our mate Van Connor, the birthday boy himself, from Monday, I think it was. I saw you for a nice booze on Saturday night. How the devil are you, sir? Did it continue when you moved on after I said goodbye to you all?
Do you know, we had a banging night, thanks, Mr. Ross. Cracked on in and moved all the way back to Leighton Buzzard, thanks to the train strikes. But we had a great night. Thanks. It was awesome seeing you.
Great to see you. And now great to talk to you again about your Freeview movie recommendations for this weekend. Football's back. The film review hasn't gone away at all, of course, over the summer. Where would you like to take us first in our cinematic journey around the Freeview channels?
I'd like to take you to the South American jungle, if I can, sir, courtesy of a future Die Hard director, John McTiernan. I think this was his first big studio movie. It's Predator from 1987, which, of course, this is the movie Arnold Schwarzenegger was actually in the middle of filming when he married Maria Shriver. So if you go by his biography, Total Recall, this is why he regrets having to get married with a buzz cut. Ooh. So, you know, iconically macho film that was born of a joke of who could Rocky fight next. He would have to fight a Martian. He would have to go to space and fight a Martian. And from that basic gag came the idea for an action movie in which one of the muscle-bound heroes of the 80s would go toe-to-toe with an alien. So you've got the elite special forces team in I think it's the Colombian jungle, the Guatemalan jungle, who find themselves going toe-to-toe with an alien hunter, a predator of the highest caliber with advanced technology, the ability to turn completely invisible and literally see via heat vision. It's an iconic action movie. It's got huge stars of the time like Bill Duke, Jesse Ventura, Carl Weathers. It's even got Shane Weathers, one of its script doctors, starring in the movie, so they had an excuse to keep him around when they needed to make any changes. It's just an all-timer, one of the great action flicks of the 80s. You must be a fan of Predator, I'm sure.
I loved it. I actually slightly preferred Predator 2, controversially, which is also, I mean, it's a great sequel, but the fact it's in an urban environment, and I think it's got Danny Glover as the hunter, the lead detective, urban detective. They're a great companion piece, those two films, and every time it's on, I'll watch Predator. So when can we see this? Well, it's on tonight, of course. When can we see it? And you've got a clip for us as well, I think.
I have indeed. So you can see this tonight on Film 4 at 9 p.m. If you're having a nice, quiet Friday night at home, this is the perfect movie for your Friday night. Say 9 p.m. Stick this on. I've got a clip for you. This is a survivor of a massacre that they've encountered, warning them of what it is that they're facing.
Here we go, the deadliest hunter in the known Ronyo universe. It's Predator. Here's the clip.
What the hell do you think you're doing? You're gonna need everyone. I'm taking her back. We're out of here in 5 minutes.
We're not going yet.
Look, the rendezvous is 10 to 12 miles away from me. You think the chopper's gonna wait?
Dylan, we make a stand now, or there would be nobody left to go to the chopper.
There is something else. When the big man was killed, you must have wanted it. Its blood was on the leaves.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Oh, that's one of the great lines of all time. If it bleeds, we could kill it. I've heard that used in business seminars or kind of let's move forward seminars at the BBC, and I'm thinking, get over yourselves. You make rubbishy TV and radio shows. You're not out there hunting Predator. What did you make of it was a kind of reboot, I suppose, but almost a prequel that the Disney Channel's running at the moment to the Predator idea. Anyway, I thought that was a really interesting film. Also, more of a horror film, I think, than the first two Predators.
Yeah, Dan Trachtenberg's Prey, which opened at the tail end of last year on Disney Plus. It's absolutely really great movie, and I actually think is the best of all the Predator sequels in my mind.
Marvellous stuff. Okay, now we turn to my first recommendation. It's a film that came out in 2008. Didn't get a huge amount of thumbs up from the critics at the time, but it did really great business. I think it was Warner Brothers, or the biggest grossing, I think, R-rated, which means like X films in the old terms, of the year. It's called Wanted. It's from 2008. It's got a great cast, of course. It has James McAvoy, who's always brilliant. You've got the wonderful Angelina Jolie. Morgan Freeman's in it as well. It's about an office worker, fed up with life, frustrated, who discovers one day, and Angelina Jolie tells him and then saves his life, he's the son of a professional assassin, and he's got it in his genes, and that he shares his father's superhuman abilities. So it's the kind of, if Harry Potter had been born not a wizard but a killer, it's kind of Harry Potter, isn't it, for the bloodthirsty? It's from a Mark Millar and L.G. Jones comic book, I think, Dark Horse comic book. Mark Millar's Scottish, of course. It's a great setup, this, and I'm amazed there weren't endless sequels to this franchise.
Yeah, same. You've actually hit the nail on the head there with the Harry Potter thing. I would describe it as a halfway mark between Harry Potter and Fight Club, if you can imagine such a thing. Like, instead of going mad and creating an alternate identity, he just goes to, assassin school and learns how to bend bullets. Absolutely brilliant movie. I love this. Something else that never gets talked about in this is a very early role for Chris Pratt in there as the douchebag co-worker. Great performance from McAvoy, but absolutely scene-stealing turn from Angelina. She's so hot in this movie. She absolutely owns it.
And of course it's directed by, I say of course, a man whose name I always nervous about pronouncing, Timur Bekmambetov, who gave us the Night Watch film, old films that was so huge worldwide, but also Russia's big kind of dystopian science fiction, which was also worth a look when they pop up on film for occasionally. So it's Wanted, and it's on, let me remind myself, 5-star tonight, 11:20. If you've never seen it, make sure you record it. If you have seen it, you'll want to watch it again. 11:20 tonight, 5-star, it's Wanted, and there's a chunk of the killer trailer.
Next.
I knew your father.
My father died the week I was born.
Your father died yesterday on the rooftop of the Metropolitan Building. He was one of the greatest assassins who ever lived. And the other one is behind you.
Welcome to the fraternity. This gun you're holding belonged to your father. He could conduct a symphony orchestra with it.
All right, shoot the target.
How am I supposed to do that?
If no one ever told you that bullets fly straight, what would you do?
Well, you fire the gun and hope the bullet curled round the thing in front of it and hit the target, which is kind of what happened. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So that's tonight, 11:25 star, Wanted from 2008. Where are you taking us on our second cinematic whistle-stop tour for the weekend, man?
I am taking you to post-Cold War, mid-1990s Russia, with none other than Pierce Brosnan's James Bond. It's GoldenEye, which is on ITV on Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. I love this. This is my favourite Bond movie ever. A lot of people have this as their favourite Bond movie. It became, I think it's still the most iconic James Bond video game of all things, and it furthers my theory that the best James Bond movies have the word gold in the title. I did that 3 times. So this is the first one for Pierce Brosnan. This is sort of a reboot of the Bond series.
Hang on. The Man with the Golden Gun is not a great James Bond film.
Mm-hmm.
Live and Let Die is one of the best one.
You don't think it is?
No, it's Scaramanga with the extra nipple? No. Where's the plan to dominate the whole globe? Anyway, we'll have that argument another time, next time we meet for a beer.
Well, we've got Goldfinger, Golden Gun, GoldenEye. I'm just saying the good ones have gold in the title. Anyway, so Pierce Brosnan's James Bond makes his debut and finds himself going head-to-head with a former 00 agent / his best mate, who's now posing as a Soviet villain named Yanis, and has designs on the greatest financial crime in human history, using a stolen Russian EMP weapon. Said villain is played brilliantly by a then Colonel Sharp. I forget what Sharp's rank was in the popular TV series. Sean Bean.
I think he was a captain.
Famously,
I think he was a captain.
Was he a captain?
Sharp? I think so, yeah.
And I'm so obsessed with this that I read the making of book for this movie cover to cover dozens upon dozens of times. So I can tell you for a fact that when he was phoned and offered the role for this, Sean Bean was watching Sheffield United on the telly and eating a Frey Bentos pie in his kitchen.
You don't get more northern than that, do you? That is so northern, it's almost a caricature.
You do not.
Was he feeding?
Absolutely
unless he was heating the pie with coal he kept in the bath and feeding some of the pie to his whippet, served in a flat cap. You could not be more northern than the sentence you've just uttered. Wow, that's great. I love a Frey Bentos pie myself, though.
The scent of tripe billowing through the house, I'm sure. So I've got a clip for you. This is another rebooted element that gets introduced to the series with this one. This is Pierce Brosnan and his first meeting with the new M, played by Judi Dench. Like I say, you can see this at 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon on ITV. Perfect time of the day for it. It is one of the great Bond movies. So this is M telling off her new employee.
Great theme tune as well, I think, by Gladys Knight. GoldenEye, here we go.
You don't like me, Bond. You don't like my methods. You think I'm an accountant. A bean counter, more interested in my numbers than your instincts.
The thought had occurred to me.
Good. Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. A relic of the Cold War. Whose boyish charms, though wasted on me, obviously appeal to that young woman I sent out to evaluate you.
Point taken.
Not quite, 007. If you think for one moment I don't have the balls to send a man out to die, your instincts are dead wrong. I've no compunction about sending you to your death. But I won't do it on a whim, even with your cavalier attitude towards life.
Wow, that told him, did it not? Interesting appearance by Judi Dench. Of course, well, I mean, she's a fantastic actor, whatever she turns her hand to. My second film recommendation is on Talking Pictures TV tomorrow night. The sequel to it, which again I think is as good as the first film, is on Talking Pictures TV Sunday night. It's 10 p.m. It is a French Connection and French Connection 2. I can't think of another gritty urban thriller with a bullying cop played by Gene Hackman that gave its name and gave rise to a women's clothing store. But French Connection certainly did that. Laden in Oscars at the time, of course. And William Friedkin, the director, it went on. I mean, he was going through an I've interviewed him a couple of times, William Friedkin. Very funny guy, very thoughtful guy. Of course, he also gave us The Exorcist a little after this one. So his stock was incredibly high in Hollywood. For those who don't know, it's all based on highly juiced up and highly kind of, I should say, exaggerated. But it's about a New York police attempt to shut down the Marseille heroin business into the States via New York from the docks over there. And the man they were chasing, of course, this kind of hideous master criminal figure who they then Chevalier, who they then look for in the second film as well by going to Marseille. So both films are on. Basically, I've got two films for the price of one here. 9:30 tomorrow night is Talking Pictures TV French Connection. 10 o'clock Sunday night, Talking Pictures TV give us French Connection 2. And I've got a clip from the latter, and it's a great moment when basically Popeye Doyle, played by Gene Hackman, who got the Oscar for the first film, is sent to Marseille, and he's very much the American tourist cop fishing out of water. Here we go.
Popeye, Mr. Doyle, I was requested to help you. I didn't request that you come here. What do you know about Marseille? You think it's hard as kicking blacks around the streets?
I've been a New York cop for 14 years. I know that the dope that comes out of this city has killed a lot more than I have. Look, I'd rather be a lamppost in New York than the president of France, but I came over for one thing and one thing only. That's to get Chonier, and that's what I'm going to do.
A trap is set for Alain Chonier, the French Connection, and Popeye is the bait.
And spoiler alert, in the second film, heroin works its insidious way into Popeye Doyle's life. And that element of the performance is, I think, one of the finest things Gene Hackman, who's a brilliant actor anyway, has ever done. Two great movies, companion pieces, 9:30 tomorrow night, Talking Pictures TV French Connection. The sequel, 10 o'clock, Talking Pictures TV Sunday night. And my final recommendation is, I've got an extra one in this week, is kind of appropriate, given that we've got a Schwarzenegger film in. ITV4 Sunday night, 9:15. Initially it was called, I think, First Blood. They then realised they had a bit of a hit on their hands. They called it Rambo First Blood, and it led to some increasingly, always entertaining until the final one. I thought always entertaining blockbusters, but complete nonsense when Rambo went from being a very troubled, shell-shocked, guilt-ridden Special Forces American soldier to somebody who could basically pull helicopters down out of the sky when he chose. But this is the original and the best of these films from 1982, I think it was, based on a novel, and I think the novel's got a rather different setup and ending. I've read it for years now, the novel. This has got some brilliant stunts in it, including a moment when I think he jumps from a helicopter slice or from a cliff, and he uses the branches on a tree to not only break his fall, but break every rib any human being would ever have. So bone-crunching film, this. Brian Dennehy is always a fascinating actor, is the sheriff who decides they don't want an ex-soldier wandering through town, not realising quite who he's messing with, that this is Mr. Special Forces. Some great performances in this, some great action sequences. It's a kind of almost antidote to Deliverance in some ways, I think, isn't it, when the city comes wreaking havoc on the rural parts of America, even though they've kind of asked for it. So it's 9:15, ITV4, Sunday night. I think this, until Keanu Reeves made the other Bill and Ted film, I think I think I'm right in saying this made Sly Stallone the only actor to be in 3 different franchises, all of which have gone to a trilogy first. So there was Rambo, he did Rocky, and of course he was in The Expendables. And until Bill and Ted number 3 came along, Keanu Reeves was second with Matrix and John Wick. So that's my bit of trivia for the morning for you. I'm sure Van can think of more if there are any more. ITV4, 9:15, Sunday night. Here's a chunk of the trailer. Very 1982, but a very good film.
I want you to book this gentleman for vagrancy, resisting arrest, carrying a concealed weapon.
They knew he was innocent.
Starting to dislike you. A lot.
And they didn't give a damn.
That's okay, Warren. Don't worry about the soap. He's tough. Just shave him. Try.
Don't move. I don't want you to cut your own throat.
John Rambo. One man who's been pushed too far.
You're finished! You've gone as far as you're gonna go!
Heading straight for the top. Right on top. There's no way out of here except through us.
He was hunted. Trapped.
There he is! On the cliff!
And forced to fight back.
Don't push it. Don't push it. I'll give you a war you won't believe.
He also says in that film, "In town, you're the law. Out here, it's me. Don't push it or I'll blow you away. Not a lot of dialogue in this film, but a great movie nonetheless. That's my final recommendation. What's your final offer, your final kind of recommendation for people listening now for a Freeview film for the weekend, Van?
Well, on Sunday night at 9 p.m, great movies are showing one of my favourite horror comedies of this century. It's Ruben Fleischer's 2009 jaunt, Zombieland, which I think had a sequel in 2018, 2019, thereabouts, which was fine, but not a patch on the original. The original is great. Perfect casting in the form of Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, a few handful of others. There's even a sort of pre-controversy Amber Heard in there. And it's a pretty inventive spin of the zombie apocalypse tale. A group of survivors that come together in the wake of the zombie apocalypse and simply set out on a road trip together to try and find sanctuary. In their case, they're headed for a theme park called Pacific Playland that they've been led to believe is a safe haven, a bastion for sanctuary for humanity. Along the way, though, they make a few stops. We get introduced to the protagonist's rules for surviving the zombie apocalypse, which are pretty inventively acted out, displayed on screen. But among the stops that they make along the way, there is a certain celebrity's home that Woody Harrelson's character is insistent they go and visit. And from your laugh, I can tell that you've seen the movie, you've enjoyed the movie, and you know exactly whose home this is. But anyone who doesn't is going to enjoy this clip in which our merry band find themselves breaking into the home of a certain 80s, 90s former SNL star and comedy icon. So as I say, Sunday night, 9 p.m. on Great Movies, I give you Zombieland.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to La Mansion de Murray.
Ah, Bill Murray.
No way. This guy has a direct line to my funny bone. I mean,
Boy, who's Bill Murray?
Hey, I've never hit a kid before. I mean, that's like asking who Gandhi is.
Who's Gandhi?
She's 12.
No Twinkies.
See? I told you we should have gone to Russell Crowe's. No one listens to me.
Hello, inside voices, okay? At least until we know we're alone.
Oh, that is what should have gone to Russell Crowe. It's a great film. That very funny, very witty. Now, talking funny and witty, tell us about your off-screen podcast, which is dropping, I think, later on today, unless you're missing another week due to laziness and being a slacker. Tell me this one out today. You're in your fifth decade now. You've got to be more responsible, Van.
I know. I'm taking my vitamins. I'm drinking my orange juice in the morning. I'm doing my stomach crunches. I'm kidding. That would never, ever happen. But we are back this week, and I'm very happy to say we're going to be talking about a very, very cool new comedy called Joyride, which is absolutely brilliant. You have to check this movie out. And also the return of Jason Statham and a certain giant shark. Meg 2, The Trench, is the big release for this week, and Adam Ball and I are reviewing those and others on the Off-Screen Show on all podcast platforms from 8 a.m. So just search for Off-Screen on whatever your podcast app is.
And before you get annoyed, Meg the Trench, nothing to do with the woman who was formerly known as Meghan Markle. Everything to do with Van Connor, though, and his brilliant Off-Screen podcast. He's back with us next Friday, of course. Enjoy your football this weekend. Enjoy your films. But before we say goodbye, Van, I'm sure you knew this, but we were rattling through and you're too polite to correct me. But a number of our listeners, if I can see it on the screens now, you're an idiot, Ross, says Colin, supportively. I was an idiot there. Gladys Knight did License to Kill, the predecessor to GoldenEye. It was, of course, the incomparable and now sadly late Annie Mae Bullock, the artist known as Tina Turner. So we'll play that as a thank you to Van Connor and as a corrective to my own stupidity. Here we go. A license to mess things up. Here's Tina Turner.
See reflection